So the problem with that is there's great, great hostility on the other side. It'll last a long time. They won't recover it from it. I'll be screaming at them about the money. So my father would say, take the lumps out. So I'd go in differently now. I'd say, fellas, don't forget we already have our hostages. That's done. We paid nothing. We got our hostages. I'd say, fellas, do me a favor. Here's the story. We have a country. It's bust. We owe $19 trillion. We just approved a budget, which is the craziest thing I've ever seen 6 weeks ago, the omnibus budget. It takes care of Obamacare. It takes care of the Syrians coming into our country. It takes care of illegal immigrants coming into our country. It takes care of everything. What are we doing? I said, fellas, we got a country. We don't have the money. We can't pay you the $150 billion. I'm so sorry. I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it. I would love to do it, but we can't. We don't have any money. Now, they'll be angry, but not as angry as we're not giving you that money, right? See, I learned. That's called taking the lumps out. Same result, but this way you come back a little quicker. So they're going to get angry and all. You're going to leave, and eventually you'll come back. Now what we've gotten is we've gotten the hostages, we've gotten $150 billion, and now we start to negotiate. Does that make sense to everybody, right? Okay. And by the way, that's like 92%, 95%, 98%. No, that's 100%. When I looked over the last week, where Vicente Fox, the former president of Mexico, now, I love Mexico. I love Mexico. I think it's wonderful. Their leaders are too smart for our leaders. It's not even a contest. And he was sitting back, and he was being interviewed, and he threw out the F-bomb. Now, can you imagine if I threw out the F-bomb? I wouldn't even be here. They'd probably be thinking about the electric chair for me. Okay? It's true. They threw out the F-bomb. He did. And he said, and he's come a long way, he said, there is no way we're going to pay for the blank wall. Now, the problem with these people, now watch, they will go blank, they'll go beep, and everybody will say that I said the word. That's how dishonest, because the most dishonest people, other than Lion Ted Cruz, who really is a liar, right? He is really a liar. Man, that guy, and I'm a good Christian, but I'll tell you what, he walks up and he holds up that Bible, and he's there with the Bible, and he puts it down, and then he starts lying. I call him Lion Ted Cruz. He is good. But he's actually not a good liar because you catch him lying all the time. The best liars are the ones that don't get caught. And then we have little Marco Rubio. I thought when we had, Chris Christie endorsed me. Good guy, really good guy. He endorsed me 2 weeks ago. And when Chris was on the stage, Chris was he's the governor of New Jersey, but he was a former prosecutor and a tough cookie. And I thought, honestly, Marco was going to faint. He was choking like a dog. He was pouring down sweat. And Chris hit him once, and it was fine. He said the Obama thing. Remember the phrase. And then he did it again, and he said it again, and again, and again, and again. And after the 5th time, I was getting ready to see that size of that hand. Look at that. I was going to grab him to show him how strong that hand is, because he made that sucker up. I was going to say, Marco, I won't let you fall. I don't want you to get hurt, Marco. So, I mean, this is what we have, folks. Look, we have a big task. We have a country that is in turmoil. We have politicians that are running that are all taken care of by special interests. They're never going to fix the country for you. And I was one of those special interests. I mean, I hired lobbyists. I was really good. I mean, I was really good. I built a tremendous business. I filed my papers with the federal election. They couldn't even believe it. There were so many of those guys back there. I built an unbelievable, some of the greatest assets in the world, very little debt, tremendous cash flow, tremendous. And by the way, you read about these little tiny businesses, and they're doing well too. All of a sudden I heard that business isn't working. I said, that business is working too. Almost all of my businesses work. I make businesses work. Even when I build in the middle of a depression, I make it work. Now, sometimes the banks have to suffer. Some people have to suffer. But it works, and I have to make it work for me, my family, my company. I make it work. And I'll tell you what, when you look at what's going on in this country, you need the kind of mentality. When you see what I did, and when you see the kind of a business, some of the greatest assets, Doral, we saw the big tournament this weekend, where Adam Scott, how good was Adam Scott? The World Golf Championship. And Adam Scott was fantastic, but I own that. I own that. No partners, no nothing, very successful, great place. I own so many different places. And you know, I'm just saying it not in a braggadocious way, and I don't give a damn about my company once this. If this works, the last thing I care about is how are we doing renting on 40 Wall Street. I don't care. My kids will handle it. They'll be fine. Ivanka, do we love Ivanka, right? And Eric and Donna, they do a great job. And my executives, I have great executives. They'll take care. But we have a really monumental thing, much more important than a company. We have to fix our country. We have to get rid of our debt. We have to get, at a minimum, get the debt way down. We have to balance our budgets. We have to build up our military. We have to make sure that the drug companies who take care of all these senators start bidding for their products. You know, they have no bidding. These people, you pay practically the same thing. If you want to go into a drugstore and buy something, drugs to make you better, the United States, the biggest drug purchaser of the world, pays about the same price as you do. It's ridiculous. It's no bidding. The same thing with the military. All of my life, I've been hearing about they order a plane that nobody wants, and the plane they do want is less expensive, a better plane, better maneuverability, but the company doesn't have the political context. So they end up getting equipment, planes, whatever it might be, that they don't want. Because these guys are all taken care of, folks, okay? They're all taken care of. Do you know the lobbyists in Washington, of which I know many, and I've hired many over the years, but they're really good. And they have a thing, it's stamped on their forehead. It'll say, Rubio, I take care of Rubio. Another one will take care of another senator. Another one will take, and these guys are good. And they raise millions of dollars for them. And if it's bad for the country, as an example, I talk all the time about Ford moving in. Or you saw the recent one with Carrier. Carrier leaving this country, 1,400 jobs, they're moving to Mexico. Now, I will stop it because there's nobody that has any control of me in the sense that I'm going to do what's right for you. You're the only people that have the control. And I don't know that I get enough credit for it, to be honest, because I don't think I do. But I'm already in for close to $30 million cash. And not that it has an impact, but it's still always a lot of money. To me, $2 is a lot of money. You know, my whole life, and I say this, I've had people come up to me recently, a couple of days ago, Donald, you know, when you're number one, I've been number one almost from the beginning. From the beginning, from June 16th, almost number one. When you're number one, it's like I was so successful with The Apprentice show, and they wanted to renew it. They would have done anything to renew it, but I said, no, I'm sorry, I'm running for president. The head of Comcast came up to see me, great guy. And he said, we really want you. I said, no, I'm running for president. I told him. Nobody believed it. You know, nobody believed it. And the pundits didn't believe it. They all said, he's not going to run. He's not running. You know, there was such surety. These people are so stupid. They're so stupid. And they're saying he didn't run. Then they said, well, he maybe won't sign Form A. Form A is basically the form you sign, one page where you sign your life away. You know, you give your everything. And then you have the financials. Then they say, well, he signed Form A. And then I announced. And then they said, well, he'll never put in his financials. And the financials turned out to be almost 100 pages. They say, well, he'll take his time because you have delays and you can delay it forever. They'll say, he'll put them in after the election, then we won't. Because they said maybe he's not as rich as people think. It turned out that I'm much richer than people think. And I'll be honest, if I didn't run, and there was a chance that I might not, but if I didn't run, I would have put them in anyway because I want to brag about what a good job I did. I've done a great job. So true. But when Steve Burke came up from Comcast, and he's the boss, he's an incredible guy, and he said, Donald, we want to renew The Apprentice and all of that. I said, Steve, I really want to do something great. We're going to do this, and we're going to do it great. I've always heard that if you're a very successful person, you can't run for politics, and in particular, you can't run for president. And I see that. If you sneeze, they make a big deal out of it. No matter what you do, they make a big deal. Now, I have to tell you, with all of that being said, and I'm trying to figure out the system because I don't understand one thing. I think I get the worst publicity. I mean, I had this guy, Mitt Romney, who was such a disaster. He may have been the worst presidential candidate in the history of United States politics. Amazing. And he came out, and he's nasty. And actually, I backed him, but I don't really know him very well. I don't know. I'd probably, you know what, honestly, if I got to know him, I'd probably get along with him. But he came out with stuff. I feel that I get the worst publicity of any human being in the world, okay? I read such stuff. They make up stories. They write stuff. And it shows how smart the public is, because I'll tell you what. The poll just came out, CNN. I'm at 49. Second is 15. Can you nationwide poll? More importantly, you have a biggie, right? When is your biggie? When is it? When are you voting? Come on. Tomorrow. Raise your right hand, everybody. Do you swear that you're going to vote for Donald Trump tomorrow? Raise that hand. I love you. I love you. All right, you can't go back. No, I'm only kidding. If you want to go back, you can, but I don't think you will, because nobody's going to do the job that I'm doing. Nobody's going to do the job that I'm doing. But tomorrow's such a big day. And we haven't seen a poll of Mississippi, but the one that's a couple of weeks old has us like way up there. But let's assume we're tied. I don't want to say it. Assume we're tied, because you got to go out. You got to go out. I always used to tell politicians, pretend you're going to lose because you'll fight harder, even if they had a big lead. But in Mississippi, we've had some amazing polls and way up. And I just want you to just really do it tomorrow. It's so important. Promise you're going to go out. Okay? Promise. And we just had a fantastic poll come out, the great state of Michigan. They came out, and we just had 4 polls, I think, come out, just as I was going on the stage. In fact, I came onto the stage, and I said, oh, this is nice, but now I walk up here. Look at the good time I'm having. You know why? I had 4 great polls from the great state of Michigan. That's a biggie tomorrow. You in Michigan, we have Hawaii, and we have the greatest potato group in the world, Idaho. I love Idaho. I love Idaho. I told them, I just tweeted, I said, I love your potatoes. I hope you're going to vote for me. I'll protect you. Nobody's going to take those potatoes away from Idaho. So we have some big ones tomorrow, but the numbers I just got from Michigan are tremendous, tremendous numbers. I mean, they're tremendous. Because Michigan knows, I've been talking about this for years, how other countries are ripping us off. I've had a couple of folks in the back, and one of them came up to me and said, Mr. Trump, I followed you for 10 years, and for 10 years you've been right. How China and how others. China's just the worst example. They're the worst abuser of all. And I'll tell you what, it's the single greatest theft, what they've done to us, in the history of the world. And I love China. I get along great. I sell them apartments. The biggest bank in the world is a tenant of mine in one of my buildings in Manhattan. I mean, I owned the Bank of America building in San Francisco, a big chunk of it, all because of the Chinese, which was a war. 1290 Avenue of the Americas in Manhattan, one of the biggest buildings in Manhattan because of the Chinese. The Chinese are wonderful. And by the way, they're ripping us off horribly. I'm not angry at them. I'm not angry at them. I wish our people had the brains and had the sense. So I'm not angry at China. I'm not angry at Mexico. I don't, if you can get away with it, I say do it. I'm angry at our leaders for being grossly incompetent. They shouldn't be in the position. And when Vicente Fox, this week, when he threw out that horrible word, and he said, we will never pay for the you-know-what wall, and he gave that horrible, horrible wall, and the anger in his face. And he's not the president. He was the president. He was a former president. But it was a big interview, and it was all over the place. And he said, we will not pay for the wall. And I liked it in one way, because at least now they accept the wall's going to happen. See, it used to be, we will not let a wall be built, right? No. If you look back a year ago, he and others were saying, we will not let a wall be built. Now it's, we will not pay for the wall. Okay, so we've come 50%. Now we'll do the other. But here's why. This lightweight comes off, and he said to me, you can't get Mexico to pay for the wall. They're politicians. Number one, if you're a politician, you can't anyway, because the special interests and the donors and the lobbyists are going to hit them up, say, don't push Mexico. We have a big relationship. They give a lot of money to this country in the form of campaign contributions. They put a lot of monies into these horrible super PACs that are totally corrupt, by the way. And then they can take phony ads on me. You got to see these ads. These ads are so vicious, and they're so phony. They're so false. And I tell people, I think I have $50 million worth of negative ads in Florida. 50 million. Somebody said 50 million. I was watching at Doral yesterday, and it's like I'm watching Adam, I'm watching Rory, and then it goes on, Donald Trump is the worst human being ever created. And I'm saying, whoa. I mean, I'm watching these ads, They are the worst, most dishonest ads I have ever seen. But, you know, how do you do that? So Vicente Fox, he goes, we're not going to do that. Let me tell you what his problem was. His anger, you saw it. Who saw that? Did anybody see that? His anger was so enormous. And it wasn't about the wall, and it wasn't about paying for the wall. It was about how dare the Americans, the stupid, stupid Americans with the stupid, stupid leaders, tell us anything about a wall or anything else. We're the boss here. That's what he was angry about. He couldn't believe that we had the nerve to tell him that he's going to pay for the wall. And it wasn't about paying for the wall. Do you understand me? It wasn't about paying for the wall. It was about the fact, how dare they? And you remember when I came down the escalator and I got up, I talked about Mexico and I talked about illegal immigration, right? And there was a storm. It was like a storm. 3-4 weeks later, in fact, I said, I don't know if I can go on like this. This is brutal. And Rush Limbaugh, who was great, he said, Trump was amazing. He's getting hit harder than I've ever seen anybody hit by the press. And he holds a news conference 2 weeks later and he doubles down. And it's true, because when you write on something, look, I don't need this, folks. I really don't. I had such an easy life. What did I do this? I had such an easy life, right? Wonderful family, wonderful company, wonderful everything. Now and I was going to say before, how can I be leading in Mississippi by so much when all I read about is negative stuff? It's amazing. It tells you, and it's all put out by the establishment that did such a great job over the last 8 years defeating Barack Hussein Obama, right? Such a great job. They did, the establishment, the Republican establishment did a really good job in telling us how to become president. But we're going to become president, and I'll tell you what's so important. And they don't know it yet, but they'll understand. Now they're saying Trump is doing really well, and Trump may make it, and this is horrible. And you know why it's horrible? Because I'm not taking their money. I don't want their money. They want to give money. They want to give money. I had a friend of mine, you know, as much as he could be a friend, he's a killer, but I had a very rich guy. I had a friend of mine come to my office and want to give me $10 million for the campaign. I told him, no, I can't do it. I'm not taking money. I just can't do it. Now, it's hard for me to say that because my whole life has been about taking, right? It's been about grab, take, greed, whatever you want to call it, take. Now it's about taking for the United States. We're going to take. It's true. But he said to me, Donald, I want to give you $10 million. And I'm going like, oh, how do I turn down? I don't want it. No, it's just so, I'm so unaccustomed. Usually I'd say, no, make it 15, okay? Right? But I'm not taking. I spend a lot of money, I don't take. So what happens is he says, no, I want to get. So after about 5 minutes, I convince him I really don't want his money. And we shake hands, he gets up. I said, by the way, what are you going to do now? He said, well, I'm going to pick another candidate. Now, I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you, and I wasn't insulted. In fact, just the opposite. They're gamblers. They love the action. They love the action. They're gamblers. These guys are gamblers. I guess I am too. I pick people. You know, he would rather give $10 million and be in the game than have the affection of Donald Trump, be with Donald Trump, but Donald doesn't want your money and Donald's not going to do what you tell him to do if I win, right? It's true. It's true. Sort of a good story, but it's true. They're gamblers. And when I look at him, I mean, he said, you're going to be the best. There's nobody like you, blah, blah, blah. You have to take it. I have another friend of mine, great guy, very, very wealthy guy, very well known to the press, and probably most of you, actually. And every time I see him, he says, Donald, when can I help? When can I help? I say, his first name's Howard. I say, Howard, I love you. And now he knows who it is. I said, Howard, I love you. You're the greatest. Got a lovely wife, great wife. I said, Howard, I love you, but I can't take your money. I'm not going to take it. I don't need it. I don't want it. I want to self-fund. I want to do it. I want to work for the people. That's it. And once I start taking their money, it's different. He said, he goes like this, no, you don't understand. I really want to give you the money. He didn't know. And every time I see him like once a month at the Mar-a-Lago Club. Great club. Best club in the world, I think. But I see him, and he goes, every time I see him, the same thing. Donald, can I give you money? He doesn't understand. They don't even understand it. And let me tell you, when guys give money to these politicians, they own those politicians. Just remember, they own them. And when they want help with military purchases, with electrical, with energy, with anything, pharmaceuticals. These guys are going to do whatever they tell them because they're going to be running again for office, and they're going to want them, and it becomes like the evil chain. So I just tell you, folks, I'm self-funding. I don't think that I get credit for it. I don't think, in other words, when you go to this group, I love you. But I love the guys from the football field even more, 7,000. I love you even more than these. I love them even more. I love them. Can you imagine 7,000 people standing on a field? On a field. I love them. I hate to say this, folks, but those are my people, right? Right? No, you're my people. We're all together. We have amazing people in this country. This country's amazing. We have amazing people. I get by far the biggest crowds, not even a contest. And I have to say, Bernie is going down in flames, by the way. But, no, he's going. In all fairness, hard to envision a communist being elected president, right? Not socialist, communist. A little bit hard, a little bit hard. So whether he's a socialist or a communist, I think he's sort of in between. We can't call him pure communist, but whether he's, but he's going down in flames, right? But I will admit, we beat him by a lot in terms of the crowds. We had one yesterday, or the other day in Orlando, Florida, 25,000 people. We had to send home 15,000 people. Can you believe it? 15,000. And I said, I'm going back, but I made everybody in the room promise that they won't come back again because I have to take care of the others. It'll be the same people that pour into the room. But we're going to go back. But we've had amazing crowds. And Bernie does have the second, I have to say. But it's been such an honor getting to know the people of this country because we have a great country. We have great people. And these people want to see America be great again. That's what they want. It's what they want. And, I say this, and I say it very strongly, someday, and I want that to happen soon, I want to see Apple, and I want to see other companies making their iPhones and other products in the United States, not in China. I want to see that, and it's going to happen. And they're going to make them in Mississippi. What's better than Mississippi? You have the force. You'll see. You'll see. I may have to do a little taxation penalty. I may have to do a little stuff, to which the conservatives will say, he is not a true conservative. Remember Jeb? Donald Trump is not a conservative. In the meantime, he spent $158 million. Could have been billion the way he spent. But he spent a lot of money. But people would say, Donald Trump is not a conservative. No. Call me whatever you want. I am a very conservative. I'm conservative on trade. I'm conservative in the military. I'm conservative with our vets. Our vets are going to be taken care of. I'm conservative with education. I mean, I'm a real conservative, but I'm also a smart and common sense conservative, and we're going to be taken care of. And you know what? If it means that Apple is going to have to do something and we're going to have to create a little incentive for them to stay here, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. But we cannot continue to have China and these other countries take our people away, take our jobs away, and take our money. We can't do it. Can't do it. Okay? So in a sense, I say, call me whatever you want. I don't care. But I can tell you this, you're going to be happy. The end result is you are going to be happy. So this all began on June 16th, coming down the escalator with Melania. And I was coming down. I said, come on. Because it takes guts to run for president, I want to tell you. It takes guts. It's not easy. And I wasn't sure how I'd do because, I was getting numbers 4 years ago. I was actually leading, but I didn't run. I wasn't running. But they put my name and I was leading. I was beating Romney. I was beating everybody. But I never ran. I was doing a lot of different jobs. And I watched that, and I watched it we're doing big jobs now, but they're almost finished, like the one on Pennsylvania Avenue, the big hotel, gotten by the Obama administration 2 years ahead of schedule and under budget. Think of that. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if our military deals and if our highways and our trains and all of these things came in ahead of schedule and under budget? They don't even know what the language is. That's what's going to happen. But that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So I came down the escalator, and it was about trade, and it was about really the borders. And I had other things, but really trade, because I could not stand when you see trade imbalances the way we have, when you see what we're going through with trade. Just so you understand, again, I get along great with China. Great respect. They cannot believe. I have many friends from China. They cannot believe what they get away with. They tell me that. We can't believe it. Now, they don't say it anymore. They used to say it before they knew I was running for president. They said, you know, I was only kidding when I said that. But they cannot believe. Mexico can't believe it. And just so you understand, to finish off on the wall, the reason that Mexico is going to pay for the wall is we have a trade deficit with Mexico of $58 billion a year. The wall is going to cost $10 billion. So it's simple, right, folks? Okay, right? How simple is that? The business people, look at that guy, that big, handsome guy with the red hat, Make America Great Again. Oh, and he's got a modest set of hair. He's got a modest set, not bad. You look good, man. But we are going to, when you see that, you know, people don't understand. So they come up to me, you can't get Mexico to pay for the wall. Then they hear that we have a trade deficit of $58 billion and the wall's 10. Do you think I might be able to make that deal? Because we have tremendous negotiating power with trade. Tremendous. We have it with China. We have rebuilt China. China has trains that go 300 miles an hour. We have trains on the Long Island Expressway. I don't know if you've seen these trains. They go chug, chug, chug. Then they fall off the tracks because the tracks are all broken. It's a mess. You go to Dubai, you go to Qatar, you go to these places, you see airports the likes of which you've never seen before. The most incredible. Pilots land and they say, oh, look at this runway. You come back into LaGuardia, you got potholes all over the place. It's like third world. No, we're like a third world country. Not going to happen anymore, folks. It's not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen anymore. And you know, when I came in, because I have an amazing relationship with Mississippi, so many friends, and when I came in, one of them met me at the airport and said to me, amazing what's happening with jobs. It's just taking the jobs away. And, you know, again, we're doing very badly with employment. That 5% was put in so that presidents look good. Because when you stop looking for a job, they consider you employed. So a guy's looking for a job for 120 days, just gives up. A woman, a man, gives up. Now they're considering the person employed. And they say 5%. I'll tell you what, you wouldn't have thousands of people on the football field, and you wouldn't have thousands of people in this room if you had a real 5% unemployment, despite trade, despite everything else. If you had a real 5% unemployment. It's probably 25%, okay? It's probably 25%. And everybody says this, they're bad jobs. Even the people on Obama's side, on the other side, they're bad jobs. So it began with trade, it began with the border, and then we had the attack in Paris. And I want to tell you, that really shook people up because Paris has the toughest gun laws in the world. The country of France has the toughest gun laws in the world. And guys walked in, thugs, and they called the head mastermind. I said, never do that, never go, because what they're doing on the internet is they're taking our youth, and our youth are leaving our country and fighting for ISIS. These people are saying the mastermind. He's not the mastermind. He's a creep with a dirty cap, the one with the white cap. He's a creep. He's a lowlife. He's a lowlife. So then you had Paris, and you had these thugs go into a few different places. Boom, boom, boom. Move over here. Boom, boom. Get over. 130 people dead. Many, many people gravely injured right now in the hospital. Never be the same. Many will die, by the way, but never be the same. Then you had in California, you had the two people, the radicalized, where I guess he became radicalized because of her, whatever happened. And they worked with these people, right? They worked with them. They were given a baby shower for their baby by the people that they killed. So there's something going on here, folks, and we have to get down to it. We have to be smart. We have to be vigilant. We have to be careful, or we're not going to have a country anymore. We can't take in the people, you know, the migration. It's a horrible thing. It's a sad thing. But we can't take in people that we have no idea who they are. We have no idea who they are. I mean, I have as big a heart as anybody, believe me, and I like the idea of building a safe zone in Syria, and I have to get the Gulf states to pay for it. The Gulf states aren't spending. The Gulf states have so much money. They have so much money, they don't know what to do with the money they have. Thank you, I love that. Look at that guy. Not one sign, but two. He's a good-looking guy. 2 signs. He's up there. Well, you agree with what I'm saying. The Gulf states have so much money, they're not spending anything. And by the way, they're not taking anybody. They're not taking, they're not spending. We protect Saudi Arabia. Now, a year ago, when the oil prices were high, now it's half, but when the oil prices were high, Saudi Arabia was making $1 billion a day, a machine. We protect them. It's wonderful. Got to help us out now, folks. Different. We protect South Korea. You have the maniac over in North Korea. Every time he rears his head, we start sending our ships, our planes, our this, costs us a fortune. They pay us peanuts. We have 28,000 soldiers on the border, right, between North and South Korea. We protect Japan. We protect Germany. A lot of people don't know this. You know, when people see our military budget, it's many, many times bigger than any other military budget, but it's really not ours. We're protecting all of these countries. And with the right messenger, just like I told you the story with Iran, with the right messenger, they'll pay. They got nothing but money. Germany. Who has a Mercedes-Benz here? Everybody's like, you know, does anybody have a Mercedes? Oh, good. You buy American, right? Good. No, but think of it. Germany is a behemoth. It's an economic behemoth. They're so rich. They're so rich. And we protect Germany. We protect everybody. We protect everybody. And yet we can't beat ISIS. We can't beat ISIS. You know how long it's going to take to beat ISIS? Do you know ISIS is going to go down so fast, folks? It's going to go down so fast. So we used to read medieval times, right? I used to love history. And you'd read about medieval times. That's when they chopped off heads. Now we have people chopping off heads. And the other day at one of the debates, one of the many debates, are these debates getting boring? Oh. How many times can they ask you the same question over and over again? Oh, it is so boring. And, you know, then these guys shout at me. Oh, they shout. I'm always in the center. I've been in the center. The center means you're number one, right? I've been in the center for every single debate. And the line's getting smaller, smaller, smaller. I watched this guy, Lindsey Graham. He started off at 7. Then he said something nasty about me, so I attacked him. He went from 7 to 0, and now he's on, we can't let Donald Trump be president. The guy went from 7, he had 0, and he wouldn't get out. And you will all agree to this. So far, in fact, Marco Rubio, big, big hit. He attacked me last week. So far, and wouldn't this be great for the country? So far, every single person that's attacked me has gone down. Is that true? In all fairness. Who knows? And now Marco's gone down. He's gone down. But you know, but that's what we need. Whatever it is, I don't know, whatever it is, you can define it, do whatever you want. So when I started in trade. I started doing the basics, and then we had the attack in Paris, and all of a sudden CNN and others did a poll, and the poll came out that we like Trump on the military, we like Trump on the border. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who's a great guy, tough as hell. Sheriff Joe! We love Sheriff Joe. Last week I get a call, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, Mr. Trump, I'd like to endorse you. I said, is this really Sheriff Joe? How tough is Sheriff Joe, right? And Sheriff Joe endorses you, that's great, that's great. Sarah Palin endorsed me, you know, who's great. We have a lot of great endorsements. Some of the greatest business leaders in the world, Carl Icahn, and many of them endorsed me. I'll tell you, Jerry Falwell Jr. was so helpful. He was so helpful. You know, I'm leading with the evangelicals. I'm a good Christian, and I'm leading with the evangelicals. And I want to tell you something. Jerry was so great. Pastor Jeffress. I mean, we have so many people. But I'll tell you this. Christianity, and I put it in the same vein and sometimes in the same sentences, Christianity is being chipped away at in this country. In this country. It's being chipped away at. And I'm not going to let it happen. Do you know, I was with a whole room full, like 50 pastors, ministers, great people, some of whom I knew pretty well and some I don't. And I said to them, let me ask you a question. How many Christians, evangelicals, but just Christians, do we have in this country? And they were saying maybe 250 million, maybe 260 million. I said, so that's more than we have women. It's more than we have men. It's by far the biggest group. Then why aren't you banding together and getting the kinds of things you want? When people talk about we need a temporary ban on Muslims until we find out what is going on here, okay? There is total outrage. When people talk about Christians and Christianity, there's no outrage. There's no outrage. I said, let me ask you, and these are great believers, these are great people, these are strong people, smart people. I said, why is it, and I think I really found something that's very important for all of us, why is it that you people don't have a stronger lobby? And during Lyndon Johnson's regime, I will call it, because that's sort of what it was, if you think about it, but during his term as president, they passed something where the tax deduction is under siege if they do anything that's a little bit off, okay? So they're going to lose tax-exempt status, right? And I said, wait a minute, that's right, that's the answer. I figure, you know, I'm a pretty smart guy, I figure things out pretty quickly. So as soon as I mentioned it, I said, that's it. Because I said then, so the man walking, I was in Trump Tower, I pointed down to the sidewalk, there were people walking on the sidewalk. I said, then those people walking on the sidewalk are more powerful than you people in the clergy, the pastors, the ministers, the priests, the people in the clergy. They're more powerful. They said, that's right. I said, not going to happen anymore. We're going to get rid of that thing. I want Christianity to have a strong flavor. Why did we ever pass a thing like that? And it's so important. I mean, really, they've shut Christianity down. And these are great people, but they're afraid to do. For instance, some people came up to me, Mr. Trump, I love you. You're the best. You're going to be the greatest leader. You're going to be, I want to endorse you. I'm endorsing you. But I'm not allowed to do it publicly, because if I do it publicly, I may lose for the church the tax-exempt status. So they're really being silenced, and we can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. I don't care about the endorsement. They're really being silenced. We can't let that happen. We're not going to let it happen. And we're going to get that thing repealed. And think of the power we have over the Democrats, over the Republicans. I mean, the power is incredible. So we're going to get that taken care of, and we're going to be back. And I'll tell you what, come Christmas time, we're going to all be in these department stores that don't have Merry Christmas, and we're going to see Merry Christmas right in those stores, right? They don't put it up anymore. We're going to see Merry Christmas at the department stores again, folks. You goes into these stores, you don't even see Merry Christmas anymore. You say, why? Why? The store owners and the big companies, especially like Macy's, which is a very disloyal company. But these big companies, they don't want to use it because it's not politically correct. It's going to be not politically correct not to put it up. You watch. You watch. You watch. So we're going to be saying Merry Christmas again. The other thing, and I have to tell you, Second Amendment. I am going to be so strong on the Second Amendment. So strong. I am going to be so strong. So I told you, they're chipping away at Christianity, and they're chipping away at the Second Amendment every year, chip, chip, chip. And, you know, we talked about Paris. If they had people on the other side of that room, toughest gun laws in the world, or you talk about California, if they had people on the other side of that room, like this guy with the green hat that says Trump on it, right? Raise your hand. I'll tell you, he knows what I'm talking about. Nobody's going to... Or even the young man right there with that other beautiful hunter's cap that says Make America. Hold that hat up. Who's over here? That guy right there. Look at the guy with the blue shirt. Tough cookie. If they had a gun strapped to their waist, if they had a gun strapped around their ankle, and these thugs walked in, whether it's Paris or anywhere, you know what? You're going to have bullets flowing in the other direction. Not going to be the same story, folks. And in fact, it won't even happen in the first place, okay? So I just want to tell you, it's a special place. We're going to work really well with your leaders. We're going to bring jobs back to Mississippi like you've never seen before. You are going to be so happy. And I say this often, our country doesn't win anymore. We're going to start winning in so many ways. We're going to win with the military. We're going to knock out ISIS fast. We're going to win with our military. We're going to take care of our vets. We're going to win with our vets. We're going to win with education. We're going to win on trade. We're going to win where we get rid of this horrible Obamacare, and we're going to get you something great. We are going to win, win, win. We're going to win so much, and you're going to be so proud. And you're going to go back, and you're going to remember your vote tomorrow. And you're going to say in a couple of years from now and long after that, that was one of the great votes you've ever cast for anything. And I just want to thank you, Mississippi. I love you. Special people, incredible. I love you. Thank you, Mississippi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.